Hi everyone, this is the last day of our sew along for the Virginia blouse or dress, and if you have missed it and you still want to watch it, all the videos are in the playlist, so the link is below if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching this in the Facebook group, well, then you know where to find all the stuff. You can also get all the videos in the academy when you are on the Virginia course. The Virginia course has a pattern, a full sewing course, and it goes from age 1 to 12. So all the information about that is in the description box. So let's get started without further ado. And the last thing here I wanted to show you is where to put the buttons on, because sometimes I have seen people just put it so it goes straight down. Okay, so that might be the right place for it, but I have seen some people creating a tiny little pucker here. And what you want to do is you want to actually put this on, maybe on the child, maybe on a dummy, and see where it sits straight, right? And in my case it is exactly down, but it might be a slight bit over. It also depends on the fabric. So if I move this over to sit where it looks good, like that, then I'm going to just put a pin in there, and obviously now it's in the perfect position. So let's put these 3 buttons on. What we want to do is take our needle and we go to the furthest point straight across here and see where that gets to, and that is where I'm going to stitch in my buttons. So make sure that I hide this little bit there and sew my button on so that it will, whoops, pull the whole front over to that point. I have actually seen so many really delightful finished items, and I'm just like, you know, I'm thinking they're crazy good. So I hope that you all enjoy them too. That's why I've blended a few in there, and we'll do a little bit more of that on Friday. Obviously we're gonna decide who is the winner, and I'm also gonna randomly draw 3 people to win 3, 2 and 1 pattern of all the people that take part. So there's another little thing I want to show you here, and that is how I put my little knot in. I've shown it many times, but let's do this again. Let me just quickly show you how I put a knot in the end of my double thread when I sew something on. So have a look here. You do is put your thread behind your needle, press it with your pointer finger, index finger, and then you wrap around few times the thread, right? So it sits like that. And now what I do is I put my thumb on top of it, pull it over to the end, and you get a knot. See? Do it up. Now I can take my pin out. Let's put it back onto the tailor dummy. And voila, let's get rid of that and the extra thread. So that's done, and now I'm going to do this one here, and so I'm going to use these sew on snaps. I'm using quite large ones actually. These are size 3. I got them from Joann's. Right, so let's put the poppers onto this one. I've already had it on my dummy, so I know it's in the right position here. So I'm going to get my poppers on now. So let's just see. I'm going to put a pin here so I know that's where they go to. And then on this side, I think I'm going to put 3 here. Of these poppers, and I'm taking the one which has the mold coming out facing up, the sharp one, and then the one with the mold which goes down is going to go onto those. So I'm just going to show you one here as I was taught how to do it as a tailor's apprentice. So go in the side, get rid of the thread you don't want to see, do a loop, and then the loop will sit on top of the edge here, and I'm going to do 3 of those going round. There we go. Then I'm going to go underneath here to the next one, not through it, just so I'm coming to the edge, and I'll do the same again. And now we're going to do the other side. I'm putting it on here exactly how it's going to sit, right? And you know what I tend to do? I'll just press down a bit and that'll give me a mold here where I can see where it's gonna go, like right there. I can go through, just see, there we are. So I just go through there. So I've got my pin in here, okay, and now I can put this straight on here where I know it needs to go. So if I move this up now, see, I get exactly that spot where the center has to go. So I'm gonna just like put my bit in here and take my pin back out, and that gives me the perfect position. Now I'm gonna take this thing here and pop that directly on there, see? So now you can even like pull it through totally, like pull that pin in there. That'll hold it steady, right? Now I know that's where it needs to go. I'll do exactly the same. I do my little loops. Forgot there. There we are. Loop it again. And a third time. Going up. Great stuff. Now I just move underneath it, move along to the next one, move it round. But that's basically how you know. Because sometimes you put them on, and you put them on wrong, don't you? I've done it. So you're not alone if you've put them on and you think, oh no, I've put them in the wrong place. So that little trick with a pin, whoops, here's something not right. Which one is it? There we go. Now I go through here again, loop, round, see how the loop forms? Great, next one. Now I have put my poppers in. Very simple really. Here they are, 3 big poppers. I'm just going to shut them real quick. You probably remember me saying that I didn't like the length, that I thought it was too much frill, and so I'm just going to shorten it, and I do the fake hem that I also do on the Natalie dress. It's one of the really easy things to do. Normally I would obviously do it when I sew this together, and here I'm doing it after the event. So what I did was I measured up 2 inches and I marked it with my trusty little textile marker. You really need to get yourself one of those if you haven't got one. And I marked it all the way around. And now all I have to do is fold it up and actually fold it so it can't go anymore. So it's actually tight in here, right? So turn it up. I could iron it first, but I can just do it like this as well. Turn it up like that. And what that will do is it will give me a kind of fake petticoat look, which I think is really pretty, and it'll look much nicer than what it did now. It's just like neither here or there. I did not like it and I could not just leave it. So what I'm going to do here is go over to this side seam and I'll move that one down and pull it tight and then put a pin in here. And when I've pinned it all the way around, what I'm going to do is simply stitch it through. Now I have put this on. I've taken off my plate, and so I've just got the sewing machine arm so I can put my bit on it. Now some feet have got a little guide that you can put in here. I've actually got one, but I would have to change all of this palaver there, and I don't want to do that. I'm just going to make sure that I stitch it in the 2 inches from the edge, and I move my tape measure along as I do that, and that is perfectly fine. Alternatively, you could of course also mark this with your textile marker before you start. And now we have to jump forward a bit because I actually hadn't got my camera on, and since I didn't use my wide angle lens, you can't even see what's going on the table, so I shan't be using that one again. So I had to just jump ahead here. Luckily, I've got all the footage from my camera at the sewing machine. So what I did was tuck a little bit of lace underneath the edge that I'd folded in because I thought it looked a little bit too plain. And I just simply overlocked the edge of my lace, and then I tucked the lace under that edge, and then I just top stitched it on close to the edge. And when I'd done that, I still found that it was a little bit blunt down there. Also, my stitching wasn't all that straight where I had done that fake hem. So I put the dark blue velvet ribbon over it and I stitched it down on either side. And that, my friends, then looked really nice. I was like totally pleased with it because it didn't like the dress before. It was just too long. And like this, it looks really, really nice. So that was my little disaster of the day, but luckily after that I turned my camera back on. And what have I learned from this? Always listen for the beep. If there's no beep, then the camera isn't on. So let's get on now. Right, beautiful. Let's put this onto the dummy. Let's have a look what we've made. Absolute gorgeousness. All it needs is a very good press, and then it is ready to rock and roll. That's my special one for Victoria. It's very nice, right? Come a bit closer. And that's it. Very nice, right? I am loving this now. This is how I envisaged it. Few more threads to cut off, but apart from that, look at it, beautiful. So I want to encourage you to be really creative. Just because you've come to the end doesn't mean you have to leave it how it is. You could do something else to it. I could put like a little bow on there even, but I think that would be overkill now, so we just leave it how it is. On this gorgeous top, I've decided I'm actually going to use poppers because we haven't done poppers, and I think they make it sometimes really, really nice. And there I was filming it, and I hadn't filmed anything. So let's have a look at this now. I've put my poppers in already to this. I think the red would be a really nice contrast, but I've done how to do poppers in so many videos. You can just go back to those. So what you do is you go through with your owl exactly where you need to go, and then in this case I've put the top one and the bottom one on. It's really important to do those first, and then the middle one goes wherever that owl has gone through. I can't believe I did that again. You press record and it doesn't record. That is Panasonic. I'm not happy. Yeah, that looks better, doesn't it? So let's just press that one in. I love these poppers. They're so easy to put in. Then I move the owl out all the way, and the top one is the one with a sharp edge. I'll take that one out, put that over, and again all I have to do is push that through, and voila. So now I can do my poppers up for this, and that's actually my fastening done already. I like the red. Let's have a look. Gorgeous. So now I can put my poppers back away. That was nice. So since it hadn't recorded, let's just recap very quickly. When you do this, you want to mark first the top one and the lower one. Then you mark the distance between that, from the center obviously, to that one, so you know where that one goes. And then you always just plonk that owl through all the way so that you get it in exactly the right position on the upper and the under. Okay, now very important, when you have all your equipment, put it all in again where you keep it all. I tend to lose my stuff. I was just running around like a headless chicken for about 5 minutes trying to find it, and my owl was in here. It helps to be a bit tidy sometimes. So that's that one. That is really cool. I really like that. So now I could put a little bow or a little contrast on here in red, and that would also look really, really nice. Oh, I actually love the red. I am so glad I didn't go for silver buttons on that. I think that is gorgeous. It kind of makes it pop, doesn't it? It kind of makes it say, hello, here I am beautiful. Right, now then, we have got one more top to do, and that is the one with a flatter sleeve. We want to put a little bit of embellishment on this one too. Very, very nice. Now here, this part where we've put the lace on, this looks still a little bit boring, I would say. So what I can do is I can put a little bit of lace over it like that, or alternatively I could put a little bit of lace underneath it. That is exactly the right coloring for this. So what we just did on the other one, we could do here, but it would be easier. I could put a little bit of lace underneath this and just simply stitch it through again on here, and I think that would be really nice. It would just be a second line of stitching, nobody be any the wiser. Right, I've overlocked it all, so now I fold this over again so that I get a neater edge, and I'm just going to pin this with a vertical pin so I can stitch this through from the other side. Right. Now I've come to the end, I can just cut this off and stick it on here. Move this over. You know, you could sew this over nicely and overlock it. I'm not going to bother with that. Nobody ever sees that part, so I'm just going to go. And then as always, I would recommend you start somewhere on the side so it's not so obvious. And that's it. Gosh, that looks really lovely actually. Ooh, that made such a difference. Actually, the suggestion came from somebody that watched this on YouTube. I can't remember who it was, and said, oh, that could really do something to lift it in white, and I think that was spot on. Sometimes it just needs something, doesn't it? And I quite like it that it ends on the green and it has the grain everywhere in it. The question is whether it actually needs something on here as well, if we need to put a little embellishment onto the seam, or whether we could leave it the way it is. Possibly. What we're saying. Wow. I think that is just going to do it, isn't it? So we're going just under the sewing machine again. Pop it under. And think no one is going to have anything like that from the shops. That is why we sew. Otherwise, there's no point in sewing if you're making stuff that's exactly like the shops and it's not better made and it's actually more expensive to make it, then why are you making it? So, and I'm going to do the lazy thing and just sew straight through it because that's what you can actually do. At the end, I'm just going to cut it off and turn it in a bit, and to make sure that none of it sticks out, I'm just going to, it's not ending in the same place, is it? Sometimes it does, and that's really nice when it does, but here it doesn't, so I'm just going to push these end bits under like that and just pull it down. There we go. And that'll do. I think that's really pretty. I'm glad for the chap or the lady, I don't know who did it, who suggested the white, because I think that really lifts it. So well done, you. That was a great idea. And now all I need to do is put on some buttons here. And on this one, I actually thought I'd put some quick buttonholes in. On my sewing machine, I've got my buttonhole feet here. I've got numbers for it. It's very simple. I think I want number 33 because it's quite tight and a bit wider. So that is going to be a standard buttonhole. And then on my settings here, so you can see here, if I just click on this, quite like this machine. It's got standard buttonhole 33. So I've got that, and it'll automatically have all the right settings for me. So I don't need to worry about a thing. The one thing that none of them do is to adjust the tension for your top thread. And we need to go down to 3, I think, is always nice. It keeps it nice and loose as it goes from side to side. Now then, in theory, all I need to do now is press go. The one thing I've also done here is I've pulled down my sensor, but it should do it perfect without me having to do anything. Okay, so it has done my buttonhole. So when I take it out like this and I look at it, I think that's actually quite nice. Yeah, I think the size is good as well. So in this case, it worked really well. The underside looks good, top side looks good. So in this case, I can say, okay, let's go. Let's put this on my dress. I've jumped ahead a bit here and marked it already where it needs to go. The rule of thumb is that your buttonhole should start 1.2 centimeters from the edge. So in this case, I already marked it. You also want to make sure that the petals in this case don't stand over the edge. So you never want to put a buttonhole in so that they sit like that. So don't start your buttonhole anywhere here. It needs to be 1.2 centimeters and then that's fine. So now I need to decide where I want to put them in terms of height, and I think this is a nice height here. So if I measure my top one, bearing in mind that I always want to have equal distance, so that's 1.6. So if I go 1.6 up on here and mark it, then those 2 points should give me the best starting point for my buttonhole. And if I put these on there, they should sit beautifully like that. Don't be scared. We've already done a sample one. Just pop it under. But now I've got my needle down exactly on the cross point that we've got over there as well. Make sure it's nice and even on the side and just press go. And it'll do it on its own. Right, so that's one buttonhole. So go over to the other side and I do exactly the same. I put my needle down in exactly that cross. Make sure it's all nice and straight. There we go. And go. Oh, hang on a minute. And this is what I'm glad actually this happened, because I must have touched the sensor, or my fabric has, and that's what it does. It just stops. So I have to get my quick unpick out and unpick it and start again. So what I'm going to do is I'll make sure that my gathers are not in the way. I turn it on and off again. Go to 33 again. Sometimes it's just worthwhile doing that, even if it's so annoying. Put your needle down, and I'm going to help this out now a little bit. I'm going to make sure that none of my gathers are in the way. So fingers crossed. Oh, that seems to be going to the right point there. Please don't touch that sensor again. And that was okay.
And now my buttonholes are in. One of your lovely ladies from the group, she's cut into her bodice at the very end when she's going to put her buttonhole in, because she used one of those lovely things here to go in and cut the buttonhole. Now, whilst these are okay to use to do this, they're also really dangerous. What she did was go in and veered off to the side and ruined the whole lot. I would recommend to not use this one, but use a little embroidery scissor instead. Or let's do it like I do it. I'll just fold it over and do a snip. So now I've got an opening I can go into, and then I take my embroidery scissor, which is really, really sharp, and just go to the end on both sides. Right? Lovely. So, and that worked really nicely. Now, the problem here is it's so easy to run it. One little trick to stop that from happening is to put a pin at the end, but it doesn't help if you veer off, of course. And then you can go in and you can cut, and you know that your pin is going to stop you, right? So you can't go too far. I think put the seam ripper away. Don't use it unless you absolutely haven't got anything sharp, because it's so easy to make a mistake. And I can even cut it with my big tailoring shears, right? It's much, much safer. I think this is super, super cute. I mean, what can I say? That is stunning. I hope you think so too. That is like really cute. Oh, I'm so glad I found these little buttons. So it's just grown on me, this dress. When I started again, you know, I thought, oh, what's this going to be like? Then I thought, oh, nice, it's like Little House on the Prairie. And now I'm thinking, no, this is better than Little House on the Prairie. This is super.
And that was the buttonhole. You probably wonder, why is Marina wearing something totally different with her hair different? It's because it's the next day. This was truly the one little lesson I did where the camera just stopped recording off and on all the time. I don't know. So I was sitting there right now thinking, oh, that's good, I can upload it now, we're done. And doom, what is missing? So let's just recap very quickly what we did. We put these lovely buttons on there, wooden buttons. That was really, really cool. I'm loving all these little dresses now. I think they're absolutely wonderful. We also did this one with the rouleau loops, so we've learned all about that. There was a whole lot we did. I love this one too. And then of course the one with the red here. And this is where I want to stop my sew along. I did want to do all sorts of other things like bows and pockets. Now, if you want to see how the patch pocket is done, I have actually done a whole course on patch pockets already. And I think I might add to that in the coming weeks, you know, do like little lessons like this so that you can watch me how I do that. But basically you can go on the Academy course and just watch the patch pocket there. And yep, that's it. On Friday now we're going to pick the winner of our sew along. We've had some really, really great entries for it. And if you want to watch the whole sew along and you're just tuning in now on YouTube and you didn't know about it, please just check out the playlist and you'll find all the other videos in there. And all the links for that, as always, in the info box. And if you're watching this in our Facebook group, then I hope you really enjoyed this too. And on Friday we will pick the winner also for the best dress and the best photograph. So it needs to be a really nicely done photograph, well lit. Doesn't have to be with a kid in it necessarily. You can do a really nice flat lay, and that person with the best photograph for this dress will get our special prize, which is really, really nice actually. Quite excited, so I'll tell you about that on Friday. Thank you everyone for watching on Facebook and on YouTube, and I'll see you soon again for another workshop or sew along. Bye for now.